I lost my wife 6 years ago to cancer. The silence in this house has been my only companion ever since. My daughter worries about me being alone, but she doesn't understand how heavy loneliness can feel at my age. My daughter suggested I try online dating. She set up my profile and said, "Just be yourself, Dad." I felt foolish at 61, but hope felt good after so many years of feeling nothing at all. Then I met Sarah online. She was beautiful, intelligent, and worked as an architect overseas. She said she'd been alone too, widowed young, searching for someone genuine. We started talking every single day. Sarah called me her soulmate within 3 months. She said we were meant to find each other, that God brought us together. I believed her completely because I wanted so badly to believe someone could love me again. My daughter noticed I was spending hours on my computer every night. She asked to see Sarah's profile. I got defensive, told her she didn't understand real love. Looking back, I see how blind I was. Sarah's first emergency came 6 months in. She was stuck in Turkey, her wallet stolen, unable to pay for her hotel. She needed $5,000 to get home to me. I sent it without hesitation. More emergencies kept coming. Her mother needed surgery. Her business partner stole money. She couldn't access her accounts overseas. Each request felt urgent and reasonable. I never questioned why nothing ever got resolved. I started dipping into my retirement savings. Just a little at first, then more. Sarah promised she'd pay everything back when we were together. She said we'd have the most beautiful life, finally together. My daughter asked about my retirement account during a casual conversation. I lied and said everything was fine. The shame was already building, but I couldn't admit what I was doing even to myself. Over 2 years, I sent Sarah $247,000. My entire retirement fund, gone. Every time I sent money, she promised just one more thing, and then we'd be together forever. I borrowed $15,000 from my daughter for Sarah's final emergency. I told my daughter it was for home repairs. The lie burned in my throat, but I was too deep to turn back. Then one day, Sarah stopped answering. No messages, no calls, nothing. Her profile disappeared. The phone number was disconnected. I sat staring at my computer for hours, unable to process what was happening. I finally told my daughter everything. The words came out like vomit. The money, the lies, the Sarah who never existed. She held me while I cried, even though I'd betrayed her trust too. My daughter didn't get angry. She just looked sad and said, "I wish you'd told me sooner, Dad." Her disappointment hurt worse than any anger could have. I'd let loneliness make me so vulnerable. I reported the scam to the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center. The agent was kind but honest. Recovery was unlikely. Most of the money was already gone, moved through overseas accounts we'd never trace. I met Walter at a support group for fraud victims. He was 68 and had lost even more than me to a similar scam. For the first time, someone understood the shame and loneliness I was feeling. Walter told me his story first. He'd been scammed by someone pretending to be a widowed nurse. "Loneliness makes us desperate," he said. "But desperation isn't stupidity. Don't confuse the two." Walter helped me create a new budget based on my remaining savings. The numbers were grim. I'd have to work part-time for years. But having a plan, any plan, made the future feel possible again. I started therapy to deal with my grief and loneliness. The therapist said I'd been vulnerable because I never properly mourned my wife. I'd filled the emptiness with hope instead of healing. I found a part-time job at a hardware store, just like the one where I worked as a teenager. The familiar smell of lumber and paint felt comforting. $20 an hour wasn't much, but it was honest. My daughter forgave me for the money I borrowed. She said she'd rather have me broke and honest than rich and distant. Those words healed something I didn't know was still bleeding inside me. I started volunteering at a senior center, teaching basic computer skills. Helping others avoid online scams felt like turning my pain into purpose. Each class made the shame feel a little smaller. I learned to spot romance scams, the urgent emergencies, the constant promises, the refusal to video chat. Looking back, the signs were everywhere. But loneliness makes you ignore what you don't want to see. Walter introduced me to a legitimate dating site for seniors. I wasn't ready to date yet, but just knowing there were real options helped. Not everyone online wants to hurt you, but some do. 2 years after losing everything, I'd saved $15,000 back into my retirement account. It wasn't much compared to what I'd lost, but it was mine. Earned honestly, saved carefully. I finally properly mourned my wife. I visited her grave, talked to her, apologized for trying to replace her instead of honoring her memory. The grief that had made me vulnerable finally released its hold. Walter and I started a scam awareness group at the local library. Dozens of seniors came, many with similar stories. We weren't stupid. We were lonely, and loneliness doesn't care how smart you are. One woman in our group had lost her entire inheritance to a romance scam. She'd been too ashamed to tell anyone for 2 years. Hearing her story made me realize how many of us suffer in silence. My daughter invited me to move in with her family. I said no at first. I didn't want to be a burden. But watching my grandchildren grow up has been the best medicine I never knew I needed. I started going to church again after years of staying home. The community welcomed me without judgment. People didn't define me by my worst mistake. They saw someone trying to heal. 3 years after the scam, I met someone real at my church. She was a widow too, with grown children and a gentle smile. We've been dating for 6 months. No emergencies, no money requests, just companionship. She's never asked me for money. She's never had an emergency I needed to solve. We just enjoy each other's company, share meals, and talk about our children. This is what real love actually looks like. My daughter and I are closer than ever. The shame I carried is gone, replaced by gratitude that she never gave up on me. Family forgives what loneliness destroys. I still work part-time at the hardware store, but now I do it because I wanna, not because I have to. The extra money helps rebuild my retirement, but the purpose helps rebuild my soul. The man who believed a stranger was his soulmate learned that real love doesn't cost money. Real love doesn't come with emergencies or urgency. Real love feels peaceful, not desperate. I speak at senior centers now about romance scams. Seniors listen differently when the speaker has been through it himself. My shame became my most powerful teaching tool. Walter says I've become one of the best scam educators he's ever seen. Your students listen because you've lived it, he told me. The student has become the teacher, and that feels like redemption. Now when I feel lonely, I call my daughter or my girlfriend or Walter. I've learned that connection doesn't have to come from romance. Community, family, and honesty have rebuilt what loneliness once destroyed.